right. Welcome back. It is the Built by Vitality podcast. I am sitting next to Philip Lewis. My name is Steve Pinkerton, and we've got a great show today. We are going to talk about RX and Scaled. Okay. Now, before we get into that, I want to get something off my chest.
Okay.
Philip has a mid-size F-150, got special tires, paid special tires.
Special tires.
And he calls me today, and you would think he was driving a Volkswagen Beetle into the gym. Now, mind you, it is the first snow in 2 years.
Yep.
We got about, 3 inches. And Philip lives by Belmont, Mount Holly area.
About 35 minutes away.
And they've plowed every main road from here to Tennessee, but you've got to get there. You got to drive maybe an eighth of a mile on some back roads.
Eighth of a mile.
Oh my gosh!
Godzilla.
You drive a truck.
That's true. I was okay.
And he's talking about sport mode and off road, and I'm just put the
Actually,
thing in,
I was in snow and wet mode, and I was good.
Put this thing in 4-wheel drive and let's roll.
The slower you go, the more traction you have in snow and wet mode. The faster you go, the more stability.
These Southerners down here in snow. Now, I will tell you this. I was driving yesterday. My kid wanted to go over to a friend's house and do some sledding. And this was 11 o'clock, right in the heart of the snowstorm. And
That's when I went somewhere and got stuck on the interstate.
Well, I certainly did not get stuck. But I was driving behind this Honda Civic. And this is what got me thinking about this conversation we're going to have today. And this Honda Civic had no business being on the road, and it got stuck.
Oh, my
and then I go a little bit further, and there's a minivan in front of me going like 7 miles an hour on 73, where the speed limit is 55. And I'm like, okay, well, at this rate, I'll be there tomorrow. So I turn left onto Kannapolis Parkway, and I see this black truck come flying up behind me. And I'm going like 50 on Kannapolis Parkway.
In the middle of the snowstorm. That's
under
good.
control.
That's good.
And this black truck is coming up behind me pretty quick. And I'm like, geez. And there's kind of only like one lane that's kind of open, And he gets in the left lane and pulls up beside me, and his window goes down. And I'm like, oh, man. I roll my window down. It's Corey LaJoy.
Oh, my God.
So we're driving down Kannapolis Parkway going 50 miles an hour in a snowstorm, and he's having a conversation with me going back and forth.
That don't make any sense.
So, I tell him, hey, and, say goodbye or whatever, and he speeds off in front of me. But it's just funny because him being a race car driver, I just think he understands a little bit better than you do about how to drive in the snow.
I think so.
Anyway, so that got the juices flowing about RX and Scaled. We're gonna approach the RX and Scaled from a workout point of view first. So before we get into this, RX and Scaled is I don't know if CrossFit came up with RX and Scaled. I guess maybe that's the first time that came about.
I think it's always been a thing, but that terminology had to be.
Yeah, I think it was a CrossFit thing. And RX just means prescribed, and Scaled just means you've modified in some fashion. And over the past 12 years, I've seen affiliates talk about, well, we need to get away from RX and Scaled. It's such a stupid way to talk about a workout. And I never really understood that approach to it because I felt like, and this will be interesting because I want to get your take on this. I felt like that is kind of like, oh, well, we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Everybody gets a trophy. We don't want to make someone feel inadequate. And I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think that if you communicate RX and Scaled properly, it's not a matter of I'm doing something better than you, but there's a standard that our bodies should be able to operate under. And for a squat, that standard is squatting below parallel, standing all the way up, opening my hips. And there's nothing wrong now if you've got a knee issue, if you've got some limitation that precludes you from being able to squat deep enough, then you're going to scale that to something different. Maybe you'll scale that barbell squat to an air squat or a med ball squat or something. But it's still different than what the prescribed movement is. And that's okay that you're different. You are doing what your body's capable of. But if you don't have any limitations, then why would you not want to complete a movement to the standard that has been set for that movement? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that is, if you want to break it down individual movements, that's what you're talking about. Now you get into, you do a workout that has a push press component, which is a shoulder overhead type of component. You've got a wall ball component, which is a squat and a throw of a medicine ball. And let's say you've got a kettlebell swing. Mm-hmm. Do you think that there should be a prescribed way to do this workout, or do you think that that's everybody should just do what they're capable of and they choose what's prescribed for them? What are your thoughts on that?
I think prescribed and scaled is fine. I just think people's mentality needs to change.
How so?
Around it. Like if you come in here, if I've never done this before and I'm a 130-pound male and I'm trying to bulk up and whatever, and I come in and I see all these other guys that's been doing it for 5, 10, 12 years, and they're all doing the weight that says 185, and I'm like, God, I can't get that overhead. If I do, I can do it one time, but I can't do that for 30 reps just in this workout today at a high heart rate. Maybe they should lower that. They should lower that so I can click the RX. No, they've been doing it longer. They probably had trouble when they started. I just need to work my way up to it, pick a weight that I can do. Like, I don't know, the mentality part needs to change.
Yeah, and I think I would agree if that is the thought process where people feel like they're inadequate because they're not able to do that, then it's not being communicated correctly by the coaches about what RX and scaled is. To me, RX is a standard that that workout should be completed for a male and a female. That standard is 185 pounds for men, and maybe it's 125 for my ladies. But that's okay if you can't do that, then you would scale appropriately. But if you don't give someone a target, here's the downside of this world we live in, where if I finish 5th, I get a medal. If I finish 12th, I get a medal. If I finish 1st, I get a medal. I think that's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I think if you finish 1st, you get a medal, and everybody else, hey, good job. You worked hard, and that's it. When you start to reward everybody for everything, and you're like, hey, you know what? I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Everybody's a winner. You diminish the work it takes to get to that level to where you can win something or to where you can do something prescribed. Mm-hmm. So let's say, I'm an affiliate owner and I say, you know what? I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I want to take the RX button away. Okay. I think like I said, your communication is wrong to your members, and that's why you're in this situation in the first spot. But let's say you take it away. Well, now Philip comes in. Very few people are intrinsically motivated to come in and push themselves to the absolute max. Very few people. Do they exist? Absolutely they do. But they're few and far between. The majority of people are going to come in, and if you let them choose what load they're going to do. Here's a perfect example. Today's workout is a partner workout that Philip and I are going to do in about 3 hours. It is 60 front squats at 185. It is 90 toes to bar, and it is 120 calories in the rower.
Oh, that's the worst part.
Break it up any way you want between your two people. When I briefed this, everyone immediately was extremely concerned about the 185 and the 115 for my ladies' front squats because it's coming from the ground. 60 reps, everyone said, oh my gosh, it's so many reps. Are you sure? 185 is so heavy. And
technically, it's only 30 if you split it evenly.
Yep.
So you got to think of that. That's the mentality. They see 60 and they freak out.
But if I said to them when they came in, I had no weights on the board. I said, "Okay, guys, we're gonna do 60 front squats.
Oh gosh!
What you choose a load that you think fits your fitness level." Well, I'll take you for example. You're a strong dude.
I wouldn't pick 185 today.
No, you absolutely wouldn't.
If you said, "Hey man, you're going to do this workout today," what do you think? Let's do 135, 155.
155 is the number that I was thinking. That would be what the majority of my men would pick. And guess what happened when we started that workout? Everybody got through those 60 front squats about 3 times as fast as that we talked about it. We said, hey, 6 minutes is kind of the sweet spot. I think if you're 6 minutes or less, you're going to be fine. These guys and ladies were transitioning to toes to bar 3.5 minutes in, 3 minutes in, less than that. And then the next thing they were saying is, oh my gosh, there's so many toes to bar. I'll never be able to do that many toes to bar. And they smacked it. I mean, it was quick transitions. They did great. And my point to this story is, if you give people the choice to choose what they think their capabilities are, they're going to underestimate their ability. That's why from the time I opened Vitality 12 years ago, that's been the one thing that I've said is that the most rewarding is I see the potential in people where they don't. And everyone thinks, or most people think, that I'm that I criticize people a lot, or I'm too hard on people, or I'm too much nature versus nurture. The reality is, I see people in a way that they don't see themselves. I know what people are capable of. I know that when they say, oh my gosh, I could never do that, I know that they truly believe that they can't, but I know that they can. Mm-hmm. And if I don't push them, and if I don't say to them, hey, listen, here's what we're going to do. You're not going to like me for the next 25 minutes, but we're going to do it this way. And I get to see it when they're done, and they're like, man, I can't believe I did that. If you don't have somebody doing that, then they're never going to figure that out. So I think that you're cheapening the experience by saying, by being lazy with your communication and not communicating truly what RX and scaled is. If you downplay scaled, then that's exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get people that are going to do RX workout weights or RX movements that they have no business doing because they don't want to feel like they're inadequate by doing the scaled version. But if you explain to them, hey, the RX is for a small percentage of people. That's the goal that we all have, but very few of us are going to get there. That's fine. We need to do what is best for us in the meantime, and that's going to get us closer to RX. And if you explain it that way, then I think it's absolutely necessary to have a standard that you set, because I'm telling you from experience, if you give people a choice, our bodies are wired to take the path of least resistance,
Yeah, I'd definitely pick a lighter weight.
And so would I. And so would I. Yes. And that's my point. I'm a fairly disciplined person, but my body is just like anybody else's. It wants to choose the path of least resistance. Mm-hmm. It's just, I haven't given in quite as much as some other people have. So I'm a little more stubborn with that, but I still have that desire of, gosh, I really don't. I don't want to do that today.
A buddy of mine last week told me, he said, man, it's easy for you. I said, what are you talking about? He said, you work at the gym. He said, you just go downstairs, work out. It's no problem. I said, it's more convenient. Yes. I said, it's not easier for me to go do it.
Yep.
He said, what do you mean? I said, just as much. I said, yeah, it's easier for me to walk downstairs and work out. I said, that's a lot more simple than me having to get off of a job, drive here, drive home, all that. It's right up downstairs. I said, but the physical, mental part of doing the workout is the exact same. I said, sometimes I don't want to step foot down those steps. Like this morning when Steve texted me and said, oh, it's a great day, me and you part. It's the worst day ever for me. And he knows it. He enjoys it. I don't want to do that. On the road, I'm going to be crying.
Yep.
And he's like, I'm with you. No, you're not. You're not. I'm on the rower right now. I don't feel good.
And I think that's where people get confused is they think that they're unique in the fact that, they don't want to push themselves. Nobody does. That's why they come to a group atmosphere. That's why CrossFit became so popular, 15, 16 years ago, because it was one of the first group workout programs that really had the intensity piece. It had the competitive piece to it. And it just forced people outside of their comfort zone. And, one thing that Coach Glassman always said that I think was so brilliant is, and I've used it 1,000 times, is you have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. That is, if you can do that, everything in your life will get easier, because we move from one uncomfortable scenario to the next, and how we navigate those situations determine the outcome of our day. And the workout is just one piece of it. But that made me think about the RX and Scaled. You can make the analogy to so many different things in our life. So we see all the time where Scaled folks will attempt to do things that they shouldn't be doing. They go heavier than they should be because the guy next to them is doing it, or whatever might be the
pressure.
case.
Someone's like, hey man, you can do more than that.
Yep. And the same thing happens where we start to overestimate our ability a little bit. So look about it this way. What about in the real world? How many times have you heard in the finance world or investing, you get people that they're trying to RX plus or RX a investment vehicle when they have no business being the RX version. So when I say RX, I'm thinking, I'm starting to think about NFTs. I'm starting to think about trying to pick stocks in the stock market. Those are RX to RX plus versions of investing, where I think Scaled is index funds. Okay, index funds require very little knowledge, and they require very little maintenance. And too many people will see an article on Yahoo or Google or whatever, or they hear about a buddy that made a ton of money doing something, and they start to go down this rabbit hole of, okay, well, I want to do that. Well, the problem is there are people that spend nothing but every second of their day focusing on that one investment tool, and then we think that we can spend our free time and figure this thing out enough to dump our money into it. We need to understand that we have a scaled level of knowledge when it comes to that, and we just stay inside of the lane that we can control. And to me, that is very simply index funds. And I'm not going to get into that. I'm not telling people.
Robinhood.
Oh, Robinhood. Yes. I'm not going to get into telling people what they should or shouldn't do. I'm just saying from the standpoint of I've read a ton of investment books. I've tried to figure this thing out. And the more that I learn about investing, the less I actually know. It's like trying to figure out how to do your own taxes. The more you look into it, the more confusing it gets. But I will tell you, the only thing that I think that especially small business owners, entrepreneurs should be investing in are index funds. I just don't. And you can, I would actually love to debate this with somebody that believes different, that you think you should pay for a managed portfolio where, people are trying to guess, hey, I want to buy certain stocks. It doesn't make logical sense to me. But anyway, that would be something if someone has, if you're an entrepreneur and that's not your, now if you're a finance entrepreneur, then hey, I'm with you. Yeah. Then do whatever you want.
Regular people.
But if you're a entrepreneur that their full-time job is outside of the finance investment world, then I would like to argue I will argue with you about and debate about how we should invest our money that way. But that's one piece of it. Then you talk about driving. Okay, how many people did we pass yesterday that were scaled drivers trying to RX one of the hardest driving conditions day in the South of the year, and they're out there in a two-wheel Honda or a coupe type of deal.
You want to tell you a little secret you didn't know?
Please.
My truck's 2-wheel drive.
Oh my gosh. This is the world we live in.
But wait a minute.
I cannot even handle this. The second person. I went and picked up Agnew today at his house.
No.
And he got his stuff out of his truck. I didn't know that they made trucks 2-wheel drive.
Here's why.
I know why, but you can tell me, but here's what I was thinking. I know why. Because you bought your truck, you wanted to sell it to Charlie when she turns 14,
No.
and you wanted. I get
No.
it. That makes sense. Charlie's got her first. Honey, Mr. Phillips got your truck for you. It'll be all.
It was way cheaper. That's the only reason.
So you're telling me you're driving your truck is 2-wheel drive right now?
Yes, but it was way cheaper. It's cheaper on gas, cheaper on my payment, a little cheaper on my insurance, and it snows once every 12 years here in the South.
It's supposed to snow again on Friday and once more next week.
And if it does, it's usually ice. And I don't care if you got 32 wheels that turn. If you own ice, they don't work.
So when I
But
talk
if it's
about
snow, it's okay.
when I talk about RX and scaled on the road, I'm actually talking about Philip.
Oh my
So
gosh.
Philip is a scaled driver.
I drove.
And he shouldn't have been driving.
No.
But, it's funny that people will go out in a car. So
Oh,
fine,
yeah.
I'll say
Like Hondas or like
any
a
type
Hyundai
of
or a little.
any type of car
Yeah.
that's 2-wheel has no chance of making it. And how many times do you drive by and you see someone that like pulled through like a median type of deal to try and get into their subdivision or whatever, and they're just spinning their tires. They're stuck.
Well, they're in a car and then they try to go over that big hump of ice or
Exactly.
snow, and you're already low to the ground. So you hit that, you're done.
So I look at this and I say, okay, the type of people that would make those misjudgments would be the same ones that do the same type of issues when it comes to finance or other areas where they kind of get out of that lane a little bit. You know what I mean?
Is that why Nate asked me if I had 4-wheel drive this morning?
Probably.
I seen him here at the gym. He said, "Phil, you got 4-wheel drive?" I said, "No." Why? And he kind of looked at me weird and he said, "Because I might need a ride home." I said, "What?"
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't wait for you to give him a ride home and then call me and say, "Hey, I'm stuck at on the hill at Nate's
That's
house."
great.
And I'll say, "Hey, cool. Go ahead and
I'll
sleep
put her in snow and wet.
Yeah.
I'm good.
And I just think you just have to recognize and be better at understanding our capabilities and our limitations. And I think that RX or scaled is the way to do that, where, you know what, do I like the fact that I'm not savvy enough to do complex investment strategies? No, I don't love that. I like knowing a lot about everything, but there are some things I don't. And I have to accept the fact that I don't understand that. It's just like someone has to accept the fact that, you know what, I have a car. That car is not going to make it out in this weather, and I'm going to have to stay home until the snow melts. That's just the way it is. I don't have the ability level to drive in this because I haven't been exposed to it enough. It's not, I make fun of Southerners all the time. I'm joking, obviously. I'm sure there's somebody out there says, he's so mean, he's talking about people in the South not knowing how to drive.
They don't. And I'm from here.
It's a joke because in Michigan, this is like a Tuesday, okay? Every day is this for 6 months. And the thought that people wouldn't be able to go into work because it snowed is just, it's laughable up north. But, I'm not saying anything bad about the South. I'm just saying they haven't been exposed to it. Mm-hmm. In the north, everybody knows how to drive
up there. Isn't it more like snow?
Well, no.
But like here, it's like we get a little bit of snow, and then it's like, oh, we got ice now.
No, I mean it's nasty, but I mean what people drive 7 or 8 miles an hour around here, they're going 60.
Oh, yeah.
I mean it's
crazy.
It is wild, and it's just they haven't been exposed to it. So accept the fact that you're limited with your ability level, and then plan accordingly, and just understand. You know what? I'm going to have to wait until the side roads are plowed. But when you start to look at what those limitations are and have that real conversation, that real kind of intrinsic belief of what your ability level is, everything else gets kind of easy after that, because then it's okay. It's okay that, you know what, I don't snatch anymore. I don't overhead squat. Somewhere along the line, my shoulders got super tight, and I didn't put the time in that I needed to put in to keep them mobile. And now I get some pain when I go overhead and try and squat. So cool. I'm okay that I'm going to scale that part of it. I'm okay that when you and Spencer and everybody else are doing overhead squats, I'll do front squats.
I think it's just because your shoulders got so big, it's the muscles rubbing together.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I wish that was the case. And that's okay. Do I love the fact that I can't do something that you can? No. Does it not keep me up at night? It might. But you know what? It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's okay. And we have to be okay with that, because when we start to have a complex with not being able to do everything, then we fall into this trap of getting outside of our lane. You know what? Oh, I heard Philip is doing NFTs. If you don't know what an NFT is, and you had to look at
token,
if you had to look it up,
yeah,
guess what, Jack? You shouldn't be putting your money into it. Okay,
that's true.
And you know,
I have some for sale. I'll put the link in the bio. And
I see that a lot in the investing side, and it's wild because it's so easy to see that we're in over our head, but when you're there, you don't even recognize the fact that, man, I know nothing about what I'm getting ready to do, and I'm about to invest every bit of additional income that I have worked so hard to get. I'm trying to get my kid, Reagan, to understand the time value of money. And it's hard for young kids to understand that, you know, if she wants to get her nails done, whatever, it's ridiculous. It's $45 to $55 or something like that. And what I try to explain to her is, do you know how many hours people have to work to get that much money? You know, some people will get $12 to $15 to $18 an hour. You're talking about 3 to 4 hours of work
to get your toes and everything, all this stuff.
To get your nails, just your nails, your hands, manicure, and you know, and people that will go to Starbucks and pay $8 to $10 for a Starbucks drink. That's mind blowing to me, because what they haven't done is they haven't figured out, if I do that 4 days a week, that's $40 a week. That's times 4. It's $160 a month.
That's a lot.
That's, you know, you're talking close to $2,000 you're going to spend a year. And when you start to play back the number of days you just worked just so you could have some sugar drink, it's tough for me to, you know, those are things that I see unraveling, and those are the conversations that people need to have, but in every area, not just finance. I'm talking about everything, even at work. You know, at work, we need to understand what our lane is and what's not our lane. And if you try and start getting outside of that, and you start trying to do things that you're not capable of, you're going to make mistakes, and those mistakes will cost you dearly. So, do you have any other analogies we could use for RX or scaled, where you see people kind of overestimate their ability and
in fitness?
Well, fitness or any area. But what about nutrition? Do you see, how many times have you seen somebody say, you know what? And I hear it all the time. You know what? I don't want to do a keto plan with Jess. I've already been doing keto on my own. It just hasn't been working very well. Well, let me tell you something.
You're scaling it. You didn't RX it and go with Jess and really do it.
You have a scaled amount of information, and you're trying to RX it when, man, I did this for 5 weeks. I tried keto without Jess's input. Or no, excuse me. She told me, hey, you're eating too much protein, dummy. And I said, nah, I'm good. And guess what? For 5 weeks, I couldn't get to ketosis. Guess what I did? I cut my protein to exactly what she said. Within 3 days, I'm in ketosis. So, you know, a lot of people try and
do it themselves,
and they just need some help. Their ability level is just not where it needs to be, and that's okay. There's people out there that have this ability. If you want to go do complex investments, great. Then go pay someone to learn from them. But don't tell me, I'm not going to pay anybody to teach me because I'll figure it out my own. No, you won't.
No.
You won't. And that's the big disconnect that I think happens out there. Oh, I don't want to get a trainer. It's not worth it. I'll do it on my own. Okay, how did it work out for you before? The other 17 times you tried?
Yeah.
I lasted 4 days, and then I hurt myself or I stopped going. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? So what else do you got?
I've been doing CrossFit probably, I don't know, 8 years, 9 years maybe. And I see a lot of times in classes, whether before I coach, now that I'm coaching, say take spouses, for example. One of the spouses have already done the workout maybe that morning. Then you have their significant other come that night and they'll say, hey, my shoulder's kind of bothering me. They tell me that their spouse told them to do this for the scale. That'd be a good option. I'm like, well, I think you should probably take my scaling option, probably be better. I don't know if I would take, you see a lot of people that shouldn't be given those options or suggestions a lot of the times, and they'll listen to them over somebody else that's like there to give them that.
Yeah. And again, I can see that happen in every area where you get someone that's not qualified to be giving advice, and they're not doing it from a place of trying to hurt somebody. They're trying to help. They just don't have that awareness yet to understand, like, hey, I bet you Philip has coached this class 2 or 3 times already. He probably has already thought about some really good scales. He's probably done this for a few different, a number of years more than I have. And that's where I think the confusion happens is there is no replacement for experience.
Yeah.
If you haven't been in front of a class coaching it, then please do not assume that you can do what we do. It's funny. Pastor Andy, he's always got funny stories about people that want to get up on stage and talk and kind of give a message type of thing. And it always makes me laugh because I'm like, do people think it's just so easy to get up and talk to 700 or 800 people and trying to relate it to their lives? Do people actually, are they that confused with their ability level that they think they can just jump up on stage and give a message the way that Andy does? It's crazy.
Hard to go up and be like, hey, my name's Philip.
Yes.
Okay.
Even if you like public speaking, being able, I watched a thing on Bill Burr today. This morning, I watched the comedian Bill Burr, super funny guy, very, very outspoken. He is not afraid to say anything to anybody. Typical Boston, very big personality. I love listening to him. And he rubs a lot of people the wrong way. And the reason he does is because he tells it like it is. But, he's somebody that, he totally gets it. And he can get up and do stand-up comedy. Can you imagine trying to do what he does?
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, it's crazy.
Try to make all them people laugh. Like, man, I hope this is funny. I hope
Yeah.
It's not easy. They make it look easy, but it's not easy.
Yeah. And that's the thing where people they just don't, they're like, oh, I can make people laugh like that. No. You think you could roll in one after the nut? I mean, and just be able to, I couldn't imagine.
And do that for a career where you're always having to switch things up.
But that when Andy gets up and talks and says, there's other people that want to give a message or whatever, I always think that's entertaining to listen to because how can you watch what he does and think that this is an easy thing for him to just get up there and relate to people. So, this is that's what the whole snow thing got me thinking about it. But RX and scaled has always been something that people, there is some chatter for years now about how that needs to go away. It needs to go away, and I think that I understand why they think it needs to go away, but I also think it begins with a communication problem from the coaches to the athlete, and if they communicate it right, it can be a really helpful tool.
Well, it'd be like the Olympics or something. Just let the athletes pick their whatever, like the run 400 meters.
Yeah.
Like, don't give them the 400. Let them pick.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're gonna get together. Let's do I'm gonna do a 2. You do a 4. We'll do. You have a goal. There's
a standard.
There's a certain thing you have to do.
Yeah.
If you don't make it, then you're not there.
I agree. So I hope this made sense. I hope that for those in any line of work, doesn't have to be the fitness world. There are RX and scaled, comparisons to any scope of work out there, and you just have to understand that most people, when they first start, will be scaled. You will be scaling everything you do. But as long as those scales will get you closer to that standard, that RX standard, then do what you're supposed to do.
It's like jobs, certain jobs like police officers or whatever, they should have a certain standard. They shouldn't lower those standards so more people have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
Those people should strive to get there so they can do that job.
Yeah.
You lower it, it's going to cause all kinds of problems. Not saying those people are bad, but
yeah,
it works like that with anything.
If I say, hey, you're in the military, you just you practice picking up whatever you want to pick up. We're not going to have a standard for it. If you, instead of picking up a person, you pick up that 30-pound sandbag. But just remember, when Steve goes down, he weighs 240. So if you can't pick him up, then you're both dead. Yeah. I mean, of course, there's got to be a standard.
I got to be able to pick you up.
And if you can't, then you are scaled, and you cannot complete that.
I need to I need to do something and work up towards it.
Yep. So yes, that's something that I feel pretty strongly about. But I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I have a feeling that Nate and Philip will be sleeping at Nate's house tonight when Philip gives him a ride home and gets stuck in his driveway. So stay tuned for another story on that. But until next time, guys, this is the Built by Vitality podcast. Have a great rest of your day.